very cheap.
Right. Okay. And so typically, I'm not talking about gross, but net, because I know they have a rather
Yeah.
large tax system.
Yeah.
What a typical teacher net per month?
I think about
How many?
net, which is
What they take home?
they take home like 25.
2,500 euros.
Yeah.
And then I
It's the
understand.
average, right?
Right.
And don't take my
No. And that's over 12 months. But then they get 2 more months extra, right? Because don't they get another
Yeah.
paycheck in the summer?
Yeah.
So that's another 2.
There's no summer school here in Holland. Where
Right.
In America it stops, but here
Right.
it goes on, and you get a 13th month.
Right. And the teachers teach 195 days a year.
Yeah, not 190.
190.
Exact. Yeah, it's just this year 190.
And are they thinking about raising that in Holland or no?
No.
Okay.
No. I think it will be 190 for the next 10 years.
Because of the economy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So they do 190. And so can they leave school after they're done with their lessons? Or do they have to? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So they have to arrive here at what time?
The first class starts at 8 o'clock.
Okay. And the school typically gets out at what time?
Well, the average would be like 3 o'clock in the
3
afternoon.
o'clock. So does the teacher have to stay on campus all day, even if they're not teaching, or they don't have to come
They
in?
have to come on. So, sometimes they teach the first class and then they go home and come back for the fifth class. So
So there's really no rules on
there's no
that.
rules on that.
Okay. So
Sometimes we wish there were, because it's sometimes hard to get people together. But there are a lot of part-time teachers here in this school, as well as other schools in Holland. Where people have 3 days or 3 afternoons, and it's all regulated in rules
Right.
from the government.
and is this part-time because that's the way the teachers want it?
Yeah, right.
Would you prefer to hire full-time teachers than part-time?
We try to get as many full-time teachers as we can, but it's customary. The full-time teacher of 10 years ago is now 80% teacher, because they love freedom. They want to have a day of their own, and they want a day off, right?
Right. So they'll take. Can they do a full-time schedule in 4 days here? Or they
no.
So they're going to have to reduce.
Yeah.
But a
In order
lot.
to get 1 day off, they have to reduce to 20%, to 80% of their.
But a lot of people are willing to do that
yeah,
here.
right.
Yeah. In America, no. People will work that extra day to get that extra money, generally.
Yeah.
But
But you can live comfortably of the 80% here.
really,
Yeah.
wow.
Especially the younger teachers who hasn't. Yeah, they love to do that because Dutch people are very fond of their own freedom to do what they
Yeah,
want.
they have a lot of freedom here, that's
Yeah,
for
they
sure.
have a lot of freedom, so they can profit from it.
Last but not least, do you as an administrator, do you have a lot of control over teachers that don't do well?
Yeah.
So what can you do to get them, if you find a teacher that's not performing at the expectations, and remember, I understand it's very hard to fire these
Yeah.
teachers. So
But there are a lot of things you can do before saying, well, I have to fire him or California or bust, because there is a lot of things you can do in terms of teaching, coaching, helping them, talking them, nagging, keeping constantly awake. There are even some compulsory things you can do in order to get, well, if you don't do that, well, I have to take some other means to.
So you don't see this as a huge problem with most teachers?
No, not here in this school.
Right.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Do you have substitute teachers here when a teacher's not absent?
No,
When
not
teacher
in
is
the same way.
So what do you do with those kids when they don't,
We rearrange the schedule.
and you have to send them into another classroom?
Right, and they go to the auditorium, and we provide substitute teachers from our own staff who's going to be paid for the whole year to fill in when necessary.
Oh, you do have people
Yeah,
on
yeah,
staff?
yeah.
That's all they do?
Yeah.
So in-house subs, like a revolving?
No. Besides their teaching.
Oh, they're teaching?
They're teaching, and they have some. When you're a teacher here, you teach classes.
Right.
You get assigned to a lot of kids, But there are other things to do, and you get paid for the other
Right.
assignments as well. Somebody who directs the school play or organizes music events.
Right.
It's all paid.
Yeah.
So you're going to be paid also for fitting in if somebody's ill.
So far, I've seen where America clearly leads in education is in sports.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
nobody's been able to beat them in football or basketball yet of all the countries that I visited. So I guess there is some good news.
Mm-hmm.
But but my question is that do you have these aggressive sports programs here like they do in America? Because
No.
they really take their sports. I always say if we could get the mentality of Americans to take their academics as
Like the way they do
like
with
they do
sport.
sports, I think they might even be able to take on the Chinese.
Yeah,
But that's
not completely not the case now.
so it's much more academic oriented here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The PE section, it's just you have to do that because well, it's on schedule. Yeah, I showed it to you. There's also PE, and of course there are tournaments of hockey and soccer and even other sports, but it's just on the marginal side.
Okay, one of the other things that I see in America and many of the schools I've taught at and many of my friends teach at, usually in an administrative center, you have maybe a couple assistant principals or principal, but usually, normally you see a lot of kids lined up outside the doors of administrators. I haven't seen that trend here, and why is because of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Because the assistant principal, as I know, the majority of their time is spent in discipline.
Mm-hmm.
How large of a problem is discipline, and do you see a lot of discipline problems here?
No, not really, not in this school,
Mm-hmm.
because well, it's my theory, but I think it's quite true. We give the kids a lot of freedom, and a lot of responsibility for their own work. So I hope that we succeed in convincing them that if they're not disciplined enough, they can get through, and they have to meet somebody who's pointing their finger at them and not succeeding, not going to the first class, the next class. So I think the self-consciousness of the importance of being disciplined, we don't have to press it on the students.
But the society is very much aware here in Netherlands that there is a global competition going on in
Right.
terms of,
Right.
and people are probably a little bit fearful of that and are taking this seriously.
Right.
So you don't live in a bubble
Box.
here.
No.
You know what's happening. The society as a whole
think, yes. And
is
I
aware of
think
that.
our students know as well.
Okay.